8-something in the morning. Just woke up in Cumberland, Maryland. A little hungover. Because today we are riding out to Frostburg, Maryland to see the spot where the Zizians, the so-called transgender death cult individuals, were arrested. Because right down this street in front of us, let me flip the camera, there's a courthouse where a trial of all three will be taking place. I'm gonna go find that spot where they were arrested. But first, I need some fucking coffee. It's cold out today. My goal today is to find the spot where 3 of the 4 living so-called Zizians were arrested, including Ziz herself. These folks are very not Appalachian in any traditional sense. They're anti-AI, trans, vegan, rationalist, basically the cultural opposite of the average person living out in these woods. Suffice to say, the group has a body count stretching from California to Vermont, including suicides, faked deaths. One guy gets run through with a sword, survives, and then is later assassinated. It's a long, crazy story. I do love riding next to trains. Jolene and I are headed to Frostburg here, which is up near Big Savage Mountain. And they don't call it Frostburg for nothing. It is cold at those higher elevations, so we'll see if my hands freeze. So these 3 Zizians, which is a term they don't use themselves, were arrested in 2 cargo vans parked in the backwoods on the outskirts of Frostburg. And according to one of the 3 that's awaiting trial up there, one of the nearby residents, not going to say his name, approached them saying he owned the property, but after a conversation, he told them they could stay for a couple days. But he called the cops anyway. And the officer he talked to recognized his description because of their connection to the murder of a Border Patrol agent in Vermont, and he called a whole collection of law enforcement agencies, and out here in the woods is where they were taken into custody. Finally. So why do I want to see this spot in the backwoods? Well, season 5 of the investigative true crime podcast that I produce, Appalachian Mysteria, is all about this upcoming trial in Cumberland. One of the defendants wrote a letter to the judge requesting that the case be dismissed on the grounds that the vans were parked on public property, and she included a hand-drawn map that she drew from memory. So this is something that could potentially throw a wrench into the prosecution. I've looked at that hand-drawn map and Google Maps, parcel maps, so hopefully I'll know the spot when I get out there. But then again, as Gorzybski says, the map is not the territory. Now the reliable rumor, shall we say, is that this guy who called the cops rides around the property on an ATV with a shotgun slung over the handlebars. I know there's some hunting that goes on up there. Yesterday was the last day of bear season, but I don't know if anyone up there cares about government restrictions on hunting anyway, and they can still shoot deer anyway, so I'm trying to not get so deep in the woods that I'm shot by hunters, and also not push a private boundary so much that I'm shot by some guy on an ATV. I think my turn into the area is coming up here. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to pull over first and take this huge camera pole off the bike. I'm not sure whether that would make me more noticeable than I'll already be, but the goal is to take it slow, especially riding past this guy's house, and ideally I'm not noticed at all. Alright, let's spin back around here and head in. Bunch of garbage in the road, sure. Pretty nice, normal mountain neighborhood here. Okay, I think the ATV guy's house is one of those on the right, just before I reach this road that goes up to his other property. Yeah, this is a backwoods road. No pavement. Which pretty much explains the ATV. Got a relatively new back tire that can totally handle this, but I'm literally changing the front tire tomorrow because it's losing so much grippy tread. But fuck it. Man, I love Jolene so much. She gets me anywhere. Do not attempt this on a sport bike. Face shield's fogging up. I love fall colors, man. So at the time of their arrest, it was mid-February up here, and that is cold weather. I don't know how the hell they were staying warm enough, unless they were just running the vans constantly. I'm noticing that on some of these little side roads shooting off, there are like private property signs to keep people out. But that makes me think that this side of the sign is public property, which is the question. I'm pretty sure this is it. We've got gates as described. One over here. And I don't know if you can see it on the wide angle, but it's right down there. This matches the hand-drawn map, so this longer gated road is supposedly where the vans were parked. In case it is trespassing to be down there, I'm not going to go any further, at least not on video, but I can see the spot. Local cops and the feds have poured over that area long ago, so there's not going to be anything interesting to find anyway. Alright, all I gotta do is get out of here without being noticed. Almost back to pavement. Oh, this guy up here is giving me a serious double take. Let's get the fuck out of here. So not much to see today, but now when I'm covering these court proceedings, it'll be much easier for me to sort of model the stories I'm hearing from both sides and give some perspective for the listener about the arguments they're making. Again, my co-producer and I are making 6 to 8 episode serial podcast on how this wild trans vegan cult ended up in the backwoods of Appalachia, as well as the crazy stories that led up to that moment. It's going to be coming out as the trial wraps up in early 2026. I'm going to link that podcast in the show notes if you want to subscribe to make sure you hear the details, or if you want to listen to the other 4 seasons we've got there on other cases. I've still got like 100 miles to ride today, so I'll see you folks later.